Coming up on SEO Lunch, Alan Henry takes over the studio space with 2 out of the 6 featured articles.
And my mind is blown with free mind mapping software coming up. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of SEO Lunch. I'm your host, Matt.
And I'm Dan.
This is the show where we take the top stories in the SEO world, mostly from inbound.org.
All from inbound.org.
Put them all together and get them to you in 15 minutes or less or your lunch break.
Back.
Oh. So what we want to do is we want to hit 1,000 YouTube subscribers. We were looking for 500. We've surpassed that now, 650 or so.
Just over that, 660.
At the time of this recording. So we'd love to hit 1,000. So if you do enjoy this content that we're delivering to you, please hit subscribe. Tell your friends to subscribe, slocumstudio.com/subscribe. Let's jump into the weekly news.
What's going on? So what's going on today is we have 5 creative uses for Google Alerts. We're going to talk a little bit about Google Alerts and how you can use that to better your presence online and track your analytics.
Love my Google Alerts.
That's by Alan Henry on Lifehacker. He'll come back in a moment.
Adam Connell of Blogging Wizard. Building reader engagement is difficult, or is it? 25 plus tactics, tools, and examples.
And then Emma Still on her own personal blog is going to tell us the story of how other SEOs made their first big link.
Dean Marsden on Kuzai, Kuzai, how traditional brands should and are investing in digital.
Then David Lieb, actually the founder of Bump, the popular app for the iPhone, and I believe Android as well, but that doesn't matter. No, I'm just kidding. Cognitive overhead, or why your product isn't as simple as you think. He's going to talk a little bit about overthinking design and how to simplify it for the user.
I'm looking forward to that one. And lastly, 5 best mind mapping tools. Another one from Lifehacker, same
person too, Alan Henry.
Alan Henry. You know what didn't show up on the weekly chart this week?
Yeah, SEO
Moz. So come on, guys, step it up. Not that you don't already do a fabulous job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pause for the cause. Slocumstudio.com/subscribe to join the mailing list and let you know when these awesome shows are launched.
Absolutely. So let's get right into this. We have 5 created uses for Google Alerts. This is our concept of the week, and what this is about is, Google Analytics is sort of when you first start search engine optimization, the first thing pretty much anybody's going to tell you is get on Google Analytics. You'll be able to see who's looking at your page, what search results are kind of showing up with your sites, how your stuff is getting seen. Google Alerts is a little bit different. And what Google Alerts is going to do for you is it's going to allow you to, I think it's a more humanistic approach to tracking and saying, I want you to alert me every day or every week or however often you want me to alert. You want to alert myself and say, this was the search query that was made and this is what the results were. To sort of kind of say, okay, well, this is what people are looking for and how can I get in on this market? How can I do this?
We recommend using this a lot for somebody, especially if they're starting out blogging. So if they're like, hey, I don't really know what to write about, or I really don't know what people are looking for, you can put in a term, pizza crust, right? And then hopefully when you set those alerts up, they'll let you know when there's another article that Google finds out in the world talking about pizza crust. Sometimes you come across a lot of garbage that you might not fit because of the search term. But it's like that in anytime you're searching a search engine, you'll find some stuff that doesn't really make sense. But it's a great way to curate this stuff. And now that they've killed off Google Reader.
Yep.
So one of the strategies before was open up your Google Reader, subscribe to a bunch of blogs that are relevant to you, and then just kind of look at that feed every day and say, I'm going to pull some ideas from this, or I'm going to share this news from over here. Google Alerts will allow you to kind of do that same thing based on a search term. I'm wondering, will Google keep this around now that they're killing Reader? Some folks have said, some industry experts have said that it's not as accurate as it used to be.
Okay. Are you talking? You must be talking about Google Alerts here.
Alerts.
Okay.
Some folks are even saying that it's not pulling from the same sources as it used to, even though it says blogs and news and all that stuff.
Right.
But still, it's a good tool. You should definitely be using it if you're starting out SEO for somebody else, or if you're looking to curate your own news.
Sure. So to build that engagement, so you can kind of show up on these Google Alerts, if you will, is to build reader engagement. Is it difficult or is it? These are some tactics, tools, and examples from Adam Connell on Blogging Wizard. And what these are, I don't want to kind of hit the nail on the head over and over and over and over again, because every week we talk about sort of like we've talked many weeks about email marketing and things like that. So I wanted to jump into something different, because this article does talk about that stuff, creating an email list and sending calls to action. And we talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go and talk a little bit about commenting. And I think it's very important for somebody, if you're creating a blog to support your business, or even a website that has like a feedback section, to really be diligent in commenting on those posts and getting back to folks relatively quickly, within a day or a couple of days.
Yeah. It's not uncommon for somebody to think that, hey, I'm putting out a great show or a web show, or I'm putting out a great podcast or blog article. Sure, people are going to subscribe, right? Because it's awesome. You think it's awesome.
Right.
I think it's awesome because we're the ones doing it, or you're the person doing it. But if you even look at our own stats, when we've asked people, like when we started asking people, please subscribe, our subscriptions went up.
Yep.
Right? It wasn't like rocket science.
Right.
We just say, please, if you like this, hit subscribe, because it's prompting you to say, hey, you know what? You're right. Because if you're taking in some good information, you might not be thinking, hey, I want to get this again. You're thinking about, hey, that's great information. You're thinking about it. How do I make that pizza better?
Right.
How do I optimize my site better? And you're off thinking about, I'm going to go and try that. You forget, hey, that was great. I should really subscribe to these guys so I get the next piece of information that comes from them.
Yeah, it's just very true.
Yeah.
And just there, you can go through this again. There's 25 of them, so it's almost a nice little resource. We'll have another resource which is a little bit different later, but this is a good resource as well for you just starting on your way. Another sort of kind of good resource is our next article, which is SEOs Tell the Story of the First Link, from Emma Still. And what this is this is just a compilation of little excerpts from the from different popular SEOers, if you will. And what their first big jump was. And I think it's the reason I included it here for like a small business looking to start out with SEO is that I think the point here is you have to be diligent with your marketing efforts. And what I wrote down here is be diligent with your marketing efforts and don't give up on day 2. So SEO takes a lot of work, and it shouldn't really be overlooked. It's one of those things where with a lot of situations you can jump into something and nothing happens. And it's easy to just say, okay, well, this isn't really working. What's the next thing? But with this, it really is a battle, a war of attrition, really, getting your stuff seen, posting, tens and to 50, hundreds of blog posts or whatever for that one blog post that sort of makes a difference. And these are sort of some stories to tell you, yeah, these guys didn't just start out and, immediately have that one big link.
Yeah, and this is a great lesson especially for the beginner SEOer, to look at and say, wow, this is link building isn't just give me an H reference tag and here we go and put in HTML. Right. It's like relationship building. It's knocking on somebody's door, especially nowadays. And it's not just throwing your name into a directory ring or some other forum or something. It's, hey, how do we build a relation? A link might take months, years to obtain, but it could be a link on CNN.com. I'm just throwing that out there. Right. But if it took a year, but you landed on CNN.com or whatever the major site might be.
And I think to your point, to your credit here, if you look at this article and you look at all their stories, none of them really say, I remember when I created my first piece of anchor text. It's like all of these are very, very conversational and very, very organic, which is cool. So the next article we're going to talk about is how traditional brands should and are investing in digital. This comes from Dean Marsden on Kuzai, and it's about building a great online presence so that your smaller business can get traffic. So we talk about the big business online and how if you do a very basic broad search, you're probably going to find that big business who's investing hundreds of thousands of dollars into their online campaign, which you just don't have the money for. They're going to be every time. What this says is use that online presence, leverage it in a either local sense or just do something a little bit differently than everybody else, and use it to give yourself an edge to somebody on High Street. If you're doing traditional advertising and you drive down the street and your little corner restaurant is getting overshadowed by the big guy, this is a great way to sort of, I'm hungry. I'm hungry for a pizza.
Right.
And, well, don't you want to go to, I don't know, Antonio's Pizza? Yeah, well, sure. Well, let's just look up for pizzas online. Now, if you've been practicing SEO or you have, some sort of new interesting way to display yourself on the internet in the local area, let's say it's Manhattan or something, which good luck. But and it says, okay, well, there's this other place right above Antonio's, like little corner store pizzeria. Like, oh, cool. You can find that place. Oh, it's right here, and then you're there, as opposed to missing it on the street.
Yeah, one of the things I like about this article is about diversification. And this is a great thing about what brands should be doing to invest in digital is even the little victories, like having an opt-in newsletter. We always talk about that.
Yeah.
Or again, if we go back to the pizza example, why don't you have your own pizza cookbook?
Right.
Free download, 99-cent download, $100 download.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Good pizza right there.
If it's great pizza, then you're going to sell this cookbook,
Right.
or why not sell some digital product or hold some digital class,
Sure.
and get that extra money and be diverse. So you have your brick and mortar store, but you also have this digital product that you sell to.
Sure, great. And when you're thinking about designing your website, you got to think of a couple things. And David Lieb of Bump, posting on TechCrunch, cognitive overhead or why your product isn't as simple as you think. What he's saying is you have to look at it from you kind of have to back up and look at it from a user perspective. And one thing I've always been a fan of myself, I'm more of a writer than like a web developer or web designer. But one thing I will say is the best thing you can ever do to test like a paper out is go up to somebody and say, here, read this. Does this make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Or read it out loud to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Does this make sense? And oftentimes you'll find that it makes absolutely no sense. There's like sentences in there or structures in there that just don't flow.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't sound normal, it doesn't sound natural. And I think that in designing your website, designing the layout, designing even your business plan, you have to kind of do that as well.
Yeah. I think that we could have an entire podcast about simplicity, user testing, A/B testing. We talk about that a lot too on this show.
We brought that up.
But simplicity and giving somebody either an elevator pitch. Here's what it is. Here's here's the common problem. Here's how we solve it. Here's here's what you're going to benefit from it. And then the other thing is just let people go and test it out. We have an app that we've built for people to create small, simple websites in under a minute. Right. jpages.com. Right. Go there, sign up. Let me know what you think. Yeah. it's as simple as that because it's like in a beta test. We want people to try it out, and we've been trying it out for over a year. We haven't put a lot of emphasis behind it, but we had it in a focus group at the local college. And we could see people in the early days of our product saying, "I don't understand how this works. I really don't get what you're doing." And we've simplified it over the months, and now it's just a point and click thing. And go ahead, try it out.
Yeah, right.
Segue. Thanks for setting me up for that, Dan.
Lord. So on that note, there's a lot of stuff to think about with that, with things like that, framing that sort of thought, framing other thoughts, and kind of collecting it into one cohesive package. So the last thing we're talking about, the last article, the 6th article, again, is from Alan Henry on Lifehacker, the guy who brought us the first article there, 5 creative uses for Google Alerts, is 5 best mind mapping tools. And the reason I included this one is actually a friend and coworker of mine recently showed me this application, the Mind Node, on their iPhone. And it was really, really cool. So I was excited to see this on Inbound. And what these basically are you familiar with mind mapping tools?
I am.
Yeah. So do you use any yourself? Or
I am. I was just waiting for my turn to speak. But
okay.
I'm one guy that should be using a mind mapping tool, but I don't.
Not okay. Yeah. So it's just a great. I mean, again, you can look at the article. We'll have the links for that, and just look at a couple of these. They're basically like these little flow charts or charts of okay, this is this piece of the business, and this is this piece of the business, and you have little lines going in all different places, but you can minimize it or maximize it as you see fit. So instead of just thinking about 100 different things, you can say, okay, this hour I'm focusing on, or this day or this week I'm focusing on this. And you only expand that section. And okay, there are 10 things to tackle here. And once you're done there, you minimize it. You forget about it. It's there, but you can forget about it within your head and move on to the next thing.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend not using a mind mapping tool for productivity unless you really like that approach.
Right.
Because in my day-to-day, I just need like one thing to look
at
and go through. If I saw my mind map, I would be like, oh God, I'm not getting any of this done, right? Well, but I think for a project, if you're planning out a project, like when we're doing web development projects or something like that, feature function, workflow, perfect.
But I think that the minimization option can sort of quell a little bit of that anxiety
I'm very
over your business to say, you can only maximize the web design of this website today, and literally everything else is just kind of hidden, and you don't have to think about it.
Yep.
So
yeah, I agree. Awesome. So some awesome articles for you for the week. We hope that helps your online marketing in a small lunch break time frame.
15 minutes.
We do want to hit 1,000 YouTube fans. Go ahead and hit like, subscribe to our videos, slocumstudio.com/subscribe. We do have other podcasts, stuff about WordPress. I do some business stuff that you can also check out. So do explore our other channels. We do appreciate it. Let us know what you want to hear in the comments. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, guys.